Hi everybody, it's day one of my third cycle, so I had my IV today. The good news is they reviewed my full case and all my bloods from the first two cycles and the feedback that I gave, so they reduced my dosage by 20%, both on the IV dose and my chemo tablets. And I got more things given to me by drip before the chemo drugs and after the chemo drugs this morning. So Stacey and I walked in, which is like just over 5k into the ward. So we left at like 7:50 this morning and to be there for 9. And then I think I left about 2:30, so it was a bit longer than normal because the drips they were giving me before and after was longer. So I haven't done any videos on the first week of any cycle because I wanted to experience the first cycle privately, and cycle 2 was so bad. I just didn't feel it was valuable to share. Even for me to look back. So cycle 3 I think has been better. It's obviously only like less than 12 hours since the IV, the chemo drugs went in my system. But I've had a bit more being able to just do slightly more than just lie on my ass, on my back for hours on end. I have done quite a lot of that today because I've been tired. But I managed to eat a bit more than I've been able to do, especially in cycle 2. So that's good. Still probably only a lunch, like a portion of lunch across the full day, to be perfectly honest, but compared to the first 2 cycles, that's much more than I was eating. I was feeling really good till about an hour ago, and then I started getting feeling like I was gonna be sick, and Stacey's like trying to control the temperature, so he's waving the bifold doors like a nutter, and I'm taking my socks off because my feet are too hot. And for me, for sickness, it's about temperature control. If I can keep my temperature down, then that usually is the thing that tips it or keeps it. Doesn't mean it doesn't tip over the edge. But I was starting to feel really bad, so I've taken my first anti-sickness drug, and they're really quite quick to kick in, so thankfully all of that stuff's gone away for the time being. I'll need to take one for the next couple of days. You take one every 6 hours, and probably for the next 3 days from tomorrow, just to stave off any nausea and sickness. So I did want to say, I forgot to mention in my other side effects videos that there's something called chemo brain, which is when you forget words and takes ages to say what you want to say, case in point. So I've got a bit of chemo brain already. But I did want to say, years ago, I've not had talked about this for quite a long time, probably 8 or 9 years ago. I went through quite a lot of change that resulted in, it was big decisions that I made in my life that were really difficult to do with relationships and houses, all within a very short period of time, and my career was starting to take off and I had too much change going on, and a lot of it was like massive life decisions, and I was trying to find a way to cope with it. And I kind of had this running joke with people that I was close to, that I had this thing called the cave that I would go into, where I wouldn't really, like, I would speak to people at work and I would speak to my family, but I wasn't proactive about it. And I would, if it was the weekend and I hadn't arranged social plans, I wouldn't have spoken to anybody, and I just kind of went quiet, like a bit off the grid. And through time I clawed my way out the back cave, and I've not really needed to, or felt like I needed to go there since, which is brilliant, because there's been lots of things that amazing things, hard things that I've gone through over the last 8 years. Obviously last year was two big losses for Stacey and and I don't think I really went into the cave. I managed to use my family and friends and my social network that knew what had happened to work through it. But I think a few days into cycle 2, I went into the cave. I had loads of people message me, like Facebook and WhatsApp and texts, and I basically hardly replied to anybody for like 4 or 5 days, and that's unusual. Well, I'm better on WhatsApp. Some of the other platforms I'm not on every day or even every week. So anyway, yeah, I never messaged some key people, and they were like worried about me because they messaged me like, what's going on, are you okay? And I sort of said, oh, I've been in the cave because cycle 2 was so hard, and I didn't even know if I could do cycle 3 and 4, and I just withdrew and kind of went into the cave, and we were having a bit of a laugh. So Ian, Mr. Ian Bell, who's been helping me with my liver and bowel detox stuff, he had said, right, let's come through to my garden, and I'll walk you through some meditation. Ian spends quite a lot of time in Thailand, and he's picked up loads of amazing health strategies over the years, so he uses meditation a lot, and I'd like done bits and pieces and played with some of the apps and things, but I had never really had any feedback live from anybody before while I was doing it. So I saw Ian at the beginning of this week, and he gave me something. Trying to find it, and was carrying it in my pocket all day today, but I think I took it out. Let's see if I can get the lighting better. Yeah, I think I took it out when I started feeling a bit ill, because I'm going to do some once I clean my teeth. So anyway, he gave me a red dice, and we went through some meditation, like a meditation process, and I realised the meditation he was showing me, you slow your breathing down to basically just taking one breath a minute, and most people kind of gasp in horror, like, oh my god, because most people average between 5 and 10 every minute, but you massively slow it down, both on the inhale through the nose, even slower than that, and on the exhale, even slower than that, and you build up to a minute. So he said, do this whenever you're feeling a bit wobbly, or if the side effects are hitting you bad, and it'll help you stay present, sort of balance out some of the systems in your body that are linked to breathing. So I've been doing that today, which has made a big difference. I'm sure the people in my chemo pod were like thinking that lassie's barely said a word for the last hour and a half. She must be shy, or she's ignoring us. I'm sure they were probably wondering what I was doing, because I had this dice that I was rolling to see how many minutes I was going to do in each kind of set. So, but it made a really big difference for me for something so small, and is definitely something that I think I'm going to use every day, whether I'm feeling like crap or not. It's going to help me with my focus and resetting if I feel like my head is a bit jumpy because there's lots of things on and stuff. So yeah, thank you, Ian. That's made a big difference today. So it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday, on a Friday. So it's 9 o'clock on a Friday and I'm having to go to bed because I'm absolutely knackered. But the anti-sickness is kicked in now, so hopefully that'll be okay through the night. Yeah. Also, the positive from today, this is the first chemo cycle that I've had that I've not cried like a big baby, because it was really hard. So it mustn't be as bad as the previous ones, or maybe I'm just getting a bit more used to dealing with it emotionally and mentally, or maybe the meditation's helped as well. So yeah, that's good news. So anyway, I'm gonna log off because this is like over 10 minutes. Sorry, that's because I've got chemo brain and I've lost my train of thought a few times, but I thought I needed to do at least one video from the first week in the cycle, just so you can see and hear from me live about what it's like. So not fun, probably one of the worst things I've ever needed to do, but I just have to deal with the side effects from this cycle for the next week or so, the really bad ones, maybe three to 5 days if the dose has been reduced, and then the other weeks is dealing with the lower side effects and trying to get back to maintenance for my fourth cycle, which means I'll be in the home straight. So if I was doing a 400-metre race, I've just started coming into turn the bend, the second bend, so turn 3. On one cycle 3's done, I'll be coming out of turn 4 in the second bend, coming into the home straight for the sprint, and my oncology doctor appointments and all my retests and things are then. So I am praying this is it. I only have to do 4 cycles and then I can get on with my life and not have to deal with. It's a weird situation where normally when things are going to be bad, you don't really know until you get flung into it. So when I was ill in December and then I got told I was going to have an operation, it happened so fast. I didn't know how bad it was going to be, and I just got flung in at the deep end. And quite often, quite a lot of bad things are like that. You kind of get, well, the ones that I've experienced, you kind of get flung in at the deep end and you just have to figure it out as you go along. But with chemotherapy, it's a very weird, mind-blowing thing, because you are willingly doing something to yourself where you know for the next 5, 7, 14, 21, and or in my case for cycle 2 it was 25 days where I felt rough. You know you're going to feel like absolute crap and you're it's come from a choice that you're making and you know well in advance. So it's really difficult to try and get your head around, and it means there's dread, lots of dread in rest week, and even right up until the moment that they release the chemo in, I'm like, I hate this. I'm constantly trying to distract myself with anything to try and keep me present, which is why I think the meditations helped so much this week, because you're focusing on your breathing and you can only do that in the present moment, because if it goes back to automatic, it's the flow, the increase in the exhaler too quick. So yeah, that's kind of my take on cycle 3 so far, first day in. I'll let you know how it's going over the next couple of days. So yeah, I'll speak to you later. Probably not the most positive of videos because I'm tired and I've got chemo brain, but maybe some interesting strategies for you to have a think about in your life. So ta-ta.